hooks up to. He hooks up to
The store's all up and running. We're not having to go out there right
How
now.
are you?
Good, sir.
We just have that one scale that's not hooked up. And I'm gonna try to change the addresses probably Monday when we go out there.
He's working. That's the day, right? This is I got the right paper up here.
Yeah, y'all can take those two. That's fine.
Last time. We'll have to remind me what motion items on that first. Yes, sir. We'll make it through. Yes, we will. All right. I think I need to ding the bell. How are y'all today? I had to ding the bell. So, call to order. My name's Jonathan Davis. I'm a flight holic. It's been about 10 days since my last flight, and I'm having withdrawals. The plane's being worked on, and so I can't fly. It's real sad. But anyways, welcome to the local EAA meeting this morning. My name is Jonathan Davis. I am somehow the vice president of this wonderful club. Mr. Tim McDonald is the president. He called and said that he had made a prior engagement, couldn't be here this morning. But I said that as far as I know, the meeting's the same Saturday every month, so it's been scheduled for years. I don't know what you scheduled before this as your prior engagement. So, anyways, I only have 1 hour PIC time in leading EAA meetings, and so if I falter or mess up, I know there's plenty of people here that will help me make it through the business meeting aspect of this. So at this time, let's go ahead and start with the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, welcome. I don't know if there's a lot of people, regular members that are here. So if anybody here that is new today that's never been, just feel want to raise your hand, or I'm not going to make you stand up.
I'm here to join today.
You're here to join today. That's a familiar face.
I was here last month talking about the flight simulator.
Yes, I'm about to say, I remember seeing you here. So, good deal. So, welcome members and guests. And I'm just now seeing the list this morning, so I'm going to kind of read from it. Secretary report, Mr. John Owen.
Yes, sir. There was an email sent out to the membership, and the judge just got a copy of it, and it was for review so that there wouldn't be time taken up during the meeting by me sitting here and reading things off of the page. Would someone...
Motion to accept as presented by email.
What he said.
We have
Second.
Second.
Call back.
Steve, 1 second on that. All right, so treasurer report.
Good, take a vote.
Take a vote.
Take a vote.
Yeah. Take a
All
vote.
in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
All opposed?
That's president's job,
I know that. I was coaching.
Vice president.
vice president. You're man at the podium.
All in favor say aye.
Your turn.
All opposed. All right, treasurer's report. Mr. Kent Walker was texting me at about 7 this morning. And so I will go back through what he had told me on his text messages, my official notepad of my iPhone. It says in our operations account, we currently have $5,346. The fuel account has $1,318. This includes a $20 donation at the Young Eagle Flights. And the Ray Aviation account currently has $20,000 in it as well. He did make a note that said we currently owe payments for the Ray Aviation account for aircraft and instructors. So on our next meeting, you'll see a difference in the balance there. He also said that we owe a reimbursement for the Young Eagle flight pilots. And so I know we had a Young Eagle event here recently. I think just one Saturday. We had 2 since the last meeting? So 2 since the last meeting. So you'll see a difference in the fuel accounts as well. And
Excuse me. Yes, if you can give those numbers again.
Absolutely. We have $5,346 in operations account.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. We have $1,318 in the fuel account.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. And that includes a $20 donation if you need to make it like that. And we also have $20,000 in our Ray Aviation Scholarship account. Alright. So at this point, we need to vote on the thing now. Like I said, I'm new to this. So.
Motion is to accept as presented.
Motion to accept.
Second.
From the judge. And second from Mr. Mark Dunn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So hangar report, Mr. Patrick Haney.
Yeah, the Young Eagles hangar is full, and the project hangar has 2 spots open, same as it has been.
Project hangar full.
No,
No.
Young Eagles.
Young
hangar's
Eagle
full.
hangar.
Project hangar has 2 spots.
Project hangar has 2 spots open. How many planes are in the project hangar?
We've got 3 in there.
3 in there. Okay. Is that a motion as well? Okay, that's amazing. Young Eagle report, Mr. Danny Redard, as you said, we've had 2 Young Eagle events since our last meeting.
Yeah, we flew 2 and then we flew 13 last weekend.
Okay.
And the online stuff's working pretty good. We flew 3 from Dallas. They saw it online and it was a birthday. And they drove down here and we flew them. And it went really well.
Really? On Saturday?
Saturday, yep. And so I just need to get with people if you're interested in being involved with Young Eagles, so I can get you online and get your emails so we can start working it out. It's working real good with the online stuff. And people are starting to see it.
And what all do they do online? What's the?
It just, when we have a band, I'll set up June 12th because May will be flying Vikings. But June 12th, we'll set it up and you just go on youngeaglesday.org and it shows it right there.
So they can sign up
They can
ahead of
sign up.
time online, or when they get here, they can sign up online,
Yep, either way.
because they'll get a computer, right?
Computer, or we can do it paperwork, the old way.
And how many pilots did you have this last
We
year?
have 3.
Had 3?
Yep.
And so anybody that's interested in helping out with Young Eagles, for those of you that don't know what it is, it's the opportunity for 8 to 17-year-olds
17.
to come out and get a free flight with a pilot. And fortunately, I don't know the exact number, but this local chapter is, if you look comparatively to other chapters around the state and nation, it's, our numbers are high. We're at over 2,000.
Just over 2,400.
Over 2,400. Mr. Lindbergh, I'm sure, has a big portion of those kiddos. He's always here and helping out, so greatly appreciated. Is there anything else with the Young Eagles
No,
report?
not this time. Just get with me if you need anything. Just
Okay. And if anybody wants to help out, you can either get with me or Mr. Regard over here. And all volunteers are always welcome. Even if you don't fly an airplane, if you want to come out and just be here, help the kids get to the planes, just, they like to see you, they want to ask questions, anything involving aviation, to come out and just be with, get the community involved. So, great program, and love flying kids. So we had 2 the first time.
Yep.
So we've done 2 events, and then we had 13 on the second one. So we got 15 flights last week.
Just remember when the ones that come out to help with the kids and stuff,
Yes.
they have to have that certificate.
You're right. So there's, correct me if I'm wrong, you have to go online and there is a little, it's like a quiz and a training that you have to go through since you are working with children. It's a safety thing, but if you want to do that, just get with myself, Mr. Bedard, and we'll show you how to do that. It's very simple. I think it takes maybe 10 minutes, but also it's very important. Kind of a little background check on you as well.
Don't wait for the last minute because the background check takes a couple of weeks.
It does, it does. I think I got mine in about 2 weeks, so,
Yep.
so thank you. All right. At this point, there's no action on that. That's just a report from what I'm thinking. Radiation scholars, we have Bailey Ward will give a brief report on her progress to the group. Joey, Coleman, Emma, and Bailey. Did you know that, Bailey?
I did.
You did?
I'm ready. I came just in time.
Don't want to put you on the spot or anything. I'm just reading as I go up here, so. All right.
Well, good morning. Those of you who don't know me, I'm Bailey Ward. I'm in 10th grade at Hudson High School, and I'm one of the 4 Ray Aviation Scholar recipients for this year. Right now, I'm just over 90 hours. I haven't been able to fly a lot in the past 2 months just because of weather. The plane's been out in the shop, but last Saturday or Sunday, Mark and I got to go up and knock off some dust. That was much needed. Right now, I'm working on getting my written done, which you're probably like, oh my gosh, 90 hours, she doesn't have a written done? Well, school has been kind of crazy this year, and tennis has been crazy, and luckily, my team got to go to regionals this year, so that's awesome, but it's also taken up a lot of time that I could use for studying for my written and everything else, so now that that's starting to slow down, I'm definitely going to be putting all that time towards studying and getting that done, so it's kind of where I'm at right now. Thank you guys, and thank you all so much for supporting me through all my training and being with me.
Jonathan,
Yes, sir.
big shout out to Bailey too, because I gave her a test this last Sunday and told her if she wanted to fly. The plane was in much need of an oil change, so we don't just teach flight, we teach mechanics as well to the limit that we're allowed.
Yes.
So she was gracious enough to come out and help me change oil on the plane.
Good. I would like to do that one day. That's something I'll be able to come
You're
out
welcome
and do.
to.
Beat you to it.
Me and Bailey, you have about as many hours as I do. I know you. How long have you been flying right now?
Actually, I started when I was 14, and I'm 16 right now. So,
And you just turned 16, right?
this past October.
Oh, so we're getting
We're getting close.
We're getting-
17.
6 months out?
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. That's pretty exciting. And then another aviation scholar we have here. Any other aviation scholars here today? Nope. All right. Well, today we also have a special guest speaker. Mr. John Hughes comes to us from Stephen F. Austin. He'll tell you more about it, but he is partnering with Stephen F. Austin to have a flight or aviation degree there. And so we're very excited about that. Y'all, most of you know I work over at Hudson Middle School, and so we've had the fortunate ability to have them come out and take a look at what we're doing. And so we are very excited to have a university so close to us that's doing something and getting involved in aviation. So at this time, I will let Mr. Hughes come up and tell us about what they got going on.
All right.
And did you get connected?
I'm not connected yet, so.
Oh.
Turn on the TV there.
And I'll move this back.
Well, thank you all for having me. Can fly, but I'm definitely technologically challenged. Learn to fly with NDVs. It's a long way from where we are now. Yeah, I don't know how to keep.
We did swaps from the
Yeah, there it goes.
and they reboot.
I'll get it connected.
Okay.
Just Wi-Fi go there.
Yeah, we're rebooting over here.
Are you talking on TV or?
Yes, on TV.
TV, no.
No.
The Wi-Fi is not popping up on my phone either.
Okay.
Reboot the Wi-Fi.
Computer's rebooting too. Well, I'll just start talking. I don't know what's else morning. Again, I'm John Hughes. I'm with HCH Aviation. It's a private-public partnership we have formed with Stephen F. Austin to bring professional flight training to East Texas. HCH consists of myself, John Hughes, Shannon Conklin, and John Hasman. Shannon was a state trooper for Texas for years. He got on the governor's detail back whenever Bush was governor. And through that, after 9/11, wound up working with the federal government before TSA evolved and got into security staffing and stuff like that. So he works for a Fortune 500 company that does international staffing for all the major airports and airlines. So he's very connected that way. And through that, this was birthed. Over the fence, he's actually next door neighbors to Baker Patillo's son-in-law, who is the late president of Stephen F. Austin. And so they were talking over the fence one day and about this. There's been talk for years between Dr. Patillo and another guy, Mike Butchko, the late Mike Butchko, about doing this, but it never came to fruition. And so after they talked about it, Shannon called me up, because I've known Shannon for almost 30 years, and said, what do you think? I said, well, the quickest way to make a small fortune in flight schools is to start with a big one. But we have I've been blown away with the support, the way the communities come together there in Nacogdoches, the community leaders, SFA, everybody has just really poured, the FAA has really poured into it, wanting to see this happen. And so we were going to launch last fall, and y'all didn't hear COVID-19 happen. It kind of screwed it all up. So we shelved everything and just kind of let it, SAA didn't even bring students back, And so we worked with the FAA on all that, putting 141 certification on hold. And so once we got into 2021, we fired that all back up, and it has been a rat race the last few months as we went public and got the 141 certification restarted and all that. That I got an email from them yesterday that is rapidly coming to a close. So we're going to be offering 141 flight training there at the Nacogdoches Airport, private through commercial, flight instructor license and multi-engine. Comes up, you can look at it.
Not yet.
And the Stephen F. Austin is putting a degree plan together that will offer a degree in aviation science. I am not attached to SFA's employee. I'm just working with them through the partnership. They are hiring an aviation director probably Monday, where they've been interviewing for about the last 4 months. And so that's rapidly coming to a close. Got some really good candidates that have lots of experience running flight schools and working with the airlines and other corporations for job placement, so on and so forth. Our goal is to create the gold standard. I am not interested, I told Shannon from day one, not interested in creating subpar pilots. We want to really create a name for ourselves, not for us, but for those guys and their passengers. I love y'all's Young Eagle program. One of our goals, back up. We have brand new airplanes that are coming. They're already ordered. The first two will hit here in June. They're the Piper Pilot 100s. If you're like me, you've never heard of one until last fall. They were certified in November. But it's basically a warrior/archer that they've taken 2 seats out. You have an optional 3rd seat. They've taken a couple windows out and made a real trainer out of it instead of a traveler. It's a technically advanced aircraft. It's got a glass cockpit and autopilot, so you can do all of that training too in it. We also have brand new simulators coming. The Redbird, like they have at Hudson, they've got a couple of desktops there. We have a couple of desktops coming as well as a full motion simulator from Redbird. All of those will be housed at Stephen F. Austin, but they are open to people that want to go do an instrument comp check or just bone up on something. So if you just want to come try them out, that's what they're there for. You have to schedule it, but free of charge. Come get in it. In addition to that, to tie on to y'all's Young Eagle program, when y'all were talking about it, I was like, man, this could really feed y'all well. We want to put 1,000 kids from local schools through those simulators. Let them log their first hour, their instructor, and get in that thing and expose them to the aviation world. I came from a non-aviation family, but I was always intrigued by it. We lived out past the airport. I was always driving by, so I had some exposure to it. Obviously, y'all's kids and grandkids or whatever will be exposed to aviation. There's how many kids out there who have no idea they can live living in aviation. Not just flying, maintenance, flight attendant, whatever. And so we're passionate about taking, especially socioeconomically challenged kids, we can change generations, y'all. And those kids that we expose, they may never want to get in again, but they go, heck, I did this once, and they can talk about it. And that might be a feeder for y'all, because it whets their appetite. I talked to a principal in White House a couple of weeks ago. He wants to bring a busload of kids down from academics once we get simulators set up. And I wish I could tell you his name, because he's part of the EAA up there. But, we want to do that with, obviously Hudson's already doing it, but all the surrounding schools, the Nacogdoches County, Martinsville, the Mount Enterprises, the Wodens, the Zavalas, wherever. And so we're passionate about getting kids exposed to aviation. It ever worked? It's no biggie. No biggie.
The internet for the whole shebang.
I had a few pictures of the airplane, so that's okay. SFA on their side, they will be offering a Bachelor of Science degree in aviation. But if you go to their website right now, that's not what you see. And so we're just upfront with everyone, say, listen, you don't create a degree plan overnight, I've learned. It's, higher education moves at the speed of smell. All right, I mean, it's just slow. And so everybody, it has to be SACS approved, and I think everybody in Austin has to sign off on it. And so right now, the aviation courses are housed under human sciences, which is where culinary arts is. So, which is great for us, because we walk over there and eat, but it's awesome. But that is simply a place to hold the courses, because financial aid will not pay if it's not in your degree plan, unless you have electives available. And so the degree plan, they have chosen to house this temporarily as the most available electives, so the financial aid will cover it. And so then over the next 12, 18 months, as the degree plan gets finalized, those courses will just roll over into that. It'll be invisible to the students, and they'll just keep rocking and rolling. So, but it looks odd right now. But apparently that's the way they always have to start a degree plan. I didn't know that. I don't normally drink out of a straw, but I got a cavity. Cold is killing me. I can aim it. What else?
What's your interest level been? How many
Yeah.
people? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go
What's your
ahead.
interest level been, and how many kids have signed up, or can they sign up yet?
Great question. Yes, they can. So I'll give you rewind real quick. We went public on Facebook in January
Okay.
because we couldn't say a word till, again, it's the speed of smell.
Right.
We signed the agreement last fall. SFA had to look at it. Oh, and we'll change this. Didn't get signed in January. So then we go public. So now we're 6 months behind recruiting and stuff. It's been a whirlwind. I've got 12 people signed up already. And so the approval process goes like this. They have to apply and be accepted to SFA. Then they have to apply to us. And so in that, we want a second-class medical to make sure that they can get it. We'll probably up that to first class next year, because most of these kids want to go to airlines. And if they're colorblind or have some disqualifying thing, we want to catch it early. Of course, proof of citizenship. If you're CFI, you know all about that. You got to do that. Essays, letters of recommendations, those type of things, transcripts. And so then we do an interview with them. And I'll be honest with y'all, part of the application is to see if they can follow instructions. I mean, if they can't, we have to address that. So then they go through the interview, and part of that too is, okay, how do you deal with this? How are you gonna present yourself? And so then we grant them admission into the program. Like I said, I've got 12 that have already completed that we've accepted into the program. And then I've probably got 12 more in the pipe that I'm waiting on stuff to get to me, or, if they're having a medical schedule, that kind of thing. And so what our target is, we want at least 18. We'd like to have 27 in the fall. And it's just a ratio thing, so.
That's what I was gonna ask you,
Okay.
is your start date, you're wanting to have everything in place where you actually start in the fall?
This fall, yes, sir, yes, sir.
So, like, are y'all gonna allow students who have previous aviation experience? Like, if I were to apply
Right.
whenever I graduated, where would I be put in the
Right.
program? Like, I don't.
And so here's what I want to tell you. Yes, okay. I've got two right now that already have their private. Okay. But I'll be honest, this first year it's a little goofy. Because SFA doesn't have the courses all in place yet. Like, right now they have the private and the instrument and the ground and lab side of that, all approved. The commercial has been submitted, it's not approved yet. And so I don't have a place to land somebody that's already got their instrument. I have no courses for them to take. We do on our side, but SFA doesn't have that. That makes sense? The other issue, and this is something that we're gonna get, you know, because of your student. Hudson?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, there's this thing that wasn't available when I came through, called a restricted ATP. And that's a very, very valuable thing for these kids. If you're not familiar with that, most of y'all know what an ATP is, right? Threshold is 1,500 hours. Okay? So they're gonna graduate our program with somewhere in the 250, 260 hour range, so they gotta get all the way to 1,500 hours. Thus the CFI. If they go through a 141 program, get a degree from a higher institution like SFA in aviation with at least 60 hours of aviation approved courses, that can be reduced to 1,000 hours. Say some 500 hours. So you don't want to get too far along and jeopardize the backside by being aggressive on the front side. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm still figuring that out too. I don't. Yes, sir.
How do the airlines respond to a restricted ATP? Because from what I've seen at least, most of them are requiring 1,400 hours, something like that. Will they accept that now?
I mean, obviously, I went through airline training a couple years ago, and I had several restricted ATPs in there, and they were, like you said, the 1,200 hour.
Right.
I don't think the 1,000 hour magic restricted ATP is going to get them an interview. Nor would a 1,500 hour be magically good.
Right.
You know. It's going to take that 1,300 hours. Although as the shortage gets worse and worse,
Yeah.
they may start backing off. To answer that question further, what I saw in that when I was going through the training was the weakness. You know, you got these guys with gals with, you know, 1,300 hours, and it's 1,100 hours of, well, it's 1,000 hours of 172 time, and 100 hours of aero time, and 50 hours in an Apache. They could punch the buttons, but they couldn't fly.
Right.
They didn't know what to do single engine, so on and so forth. And so that's one of the things, I had a long discussion with one of the guys we interviewed this week. He's retired airlines, he's retired Air Force, he did a lot of high-end training with these airlines. He was over their program, and I said, if you're hired, what do you want, what do you see in these kids, 1,200 hour kids, people, that we can head off so that they are ready for the airlines? And so we talked about that in depth, so that we create a name for ourselves. These kids don't just have 1,100, 1,200 hours coming in and don't know what to do in a high performance aircraft. They're ready to go. And so that's one of the things we want to create. Easier said than done, yes, but that's what we want to do. Yes, ma'am.
So there have been talk about like potential dual credit with the high school aviation program and then the SFA. Is there any update on that?
No, not from me.
Okay.
But SFA, I tell Jonathan, I've been down there twice. Probably saw both of y'all.
Yes, sir.
If I had a mask on, no, I don't.
Yeah.
After I left the second time, I got a hold of Carla, and she put me in touch with the superintendent who I met the first time. Because I had lunch with Dr. Gordon, the president of Stephen F. Austin, the day before, and updated him on Hudson and what y'all have going on down there. He was thrilled to death. He said, we want all the schools to do that. That's outstanding. And I said, can I put you in touch with the superintendent? He said, you can give him my number. So there's a team coming down there Tuesday. I don't know how many people from SFA, but I think Dr. Gordon's one of them, coming down there, and that is one of the things that's on the radar. I don't know what it takes to do that, but I mean, y'all need to get credit. Because see, that restricted ATP, that dual credit would be so valuable because it would apply. So, anyway, I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah. Yes, sir?
Are they looking at an aviation management going down the road?
Yes, so we have big plans for, for our program and growing it outside of Nacogdoches as well. But next year, we hope to kick off aviation maintenance school. We've already got those wheels turning, and so we want to build a hangar, and we will start teaching mechanics. And Dr. Gordon's all over that. He said, why? Because traditionally that's been, a junior college type thing. It's a 2-year trade school. He said, why wouldn't we do it? Well, why wouldn't you do it? And so we want to do that. We want to offer avionics training. Wouldn't it be awesome to have an avionics shop? So we hope to have that, in the coming years. Aviation management is huge. Airport management is huge. I was talking about Shannon Conklin. He's all over that because he's all over the world, and so many airports worldwide are privately managed, not publicly managed like in the United States. And it's just coming eventually. Maybe not in my lifetime, but it's coming. So we need to set these kids up for success to do that. I have some more questions. It's going to be exciting. We have part of the interview process, and I've been doing them all. Posturing, maybe, because I said aviation is a cool fraternity. There's, 6 billion people in the world. How many people fly? I don't know what the percentage is, but it's not very big.
1%.
1%. Yeah, it's low. And I said, the older you get, the more you're going to look around and go, the world is a very small place. And you can hold your head high because you've done something that 1% of the population can do. And you can carry yourself into any boardroom knowing that you overcame that. And it's fun. I said, people fly because it's fun, not because they hate it. And I said, but at the end of the day, it's very serious business. If we screw up, we don't get somebody audited, we get somebody killed. And so it's very serious, so we're going to have very high expectations out of you. They will wear a uniform, loose uniform, very nice shirt like this. It'll be probably in SFA colors, nice pants. We don't want them in cutoffs or flip-flops because they represent not just us in university, but they represent their parents and everybody else, and we expect them to carry themselves that way. As y'all all know, not every professor takes attendance when you get to college. It's up to you whether you go to class or not. They're going to get paid. Not that way in aviation classes. We are required to cover instructor, right, Mark?
Yes, sir.
We got to require, we have to cover something. This information has to be covered per the FAA. And if they don't show up to class, they get covered. So I said, it will be, attendance will be checked, and you will be held accountable. I had a kid call me the other morning. We had a Zoom call set up, and he, about 5 minutes after it's supposed to start, I hadn't heard from him. And he texted me, and I texted him. I said, you still want to do this? He said, yeah, I'm running late. I said, I got him late from Dallas last night. So I said, let's do it. He got on there, and the first thing I said was, I don't care about what you did last night. You're stealing something from me that I can't get back. And if you can't be on time, don't get in aviation, because you're going to fly all kind of hours, and have to get up the next morning and nobody cares. So just get ready, you're a grown-up now, act like it. So that's part of the interview process too.
What are your aircraft coming in?
The first two will be here in June, and then the third one I think is supposed to show up late August, first part of September. The schedule, and that's what I had on there, I was gonna show y'all. We're gonna do their private pilot in 2 semesters, which is slow, you know. I was telling Danny, of course I did it all 61 back in the 80s. I got my private in high school, just goofed off the rest of my senior year. When my freshman year, I went to Oklahoma, went to school up there, private school up there, just goofed off, you know. Came back after my freshman year, I had decided I don't want to make a living out of flying. I had about 80 hours. So that was June of '87, I had 80 hours. By March, I had my CFI. That's all I did. I lived at the airport, you know. So private in 2 semesters kind of slow. But most of our students, they're going to be incoming freshmen. They got to learn to get out of bed. They got to learn to do their own laundry. They got to learn to make, you know, where their classes are, where the airport is, you know. So we recognize that. And so they're going to solo sometime by the end of that first semester, more than likely. Then they'll go into private pilot ground and fly to the second semester. They'll get their license probably right after, sometime after, you know, spring break. And then 141's a little different. You know, the thresholds are lower. You know, you can get your private at 35 instead of 40. Nobody gets it at 35 or 40. Everybody gets it at 55 hours or so, okay? But the commercial threshold, 190 hours instead of 250. Of course, they can immediately, so they'll immediately roll over into the instrument. But what they really need is pilot and command time in preparation for the 190-hour commercial. So they'll be dual enrolled, because you can't enroll in commercial 141 unless you're enrolled in instrument 141. So they'll be dual enrolled, but they will do pilot command or / intermediate. So it'll be supervised, and there'll be some dual training in that, but basically we're going to send them around to build pilot command time. But it'll be very supervised. We expect them to ask for instrument approaches at all the airports, shoot them visually, but that way they start learning the procedures, the talk, everything, and integrating into the system. So that'll be like semester 3. Finish up their instrument semester 4. Finish their commercial semester 5, get their CFI. Maybe semester 6, you know, but, you know, finish up their commercial, get their CFI. Somewhere around the end of their junior year.
So for the restricted ATP, you have to have a degree in aviation science, right?
You have to have a degree in aviation.
In aviation, okay.
And it has to be approved. And they also offer it to like TSTC over in Waco. That's a 2-year school. They can get it reduced to 1,250 hours with 30 credit hours instead of 60.
Okay.
There's also a window there if you don't have 60. If you go through like an SFA program and you don't get to 60, but you get to 55, they'll reduce it to 1,250 hours. But, you know, once you get to that 1,500 hours, it's just a regular ATP like I got. So it doesn't matter. But it's a valuable tool. You know, kind of the way the story I've been telling, and I think I set the bar a little low on this. You can instruct 500 hours a year. So it basically saves you a year, is what it does. I flew 1,000 hours 1 year instructing. You know, again, I lived at the airport. So I don't recommend it. The other thing that, and y'all know this well, that the students have to recognize, and we're telling them and their parents, and the counselors at SFA are having to learn this too. You know, you can't schedule the lab. The lab is whenever it is. You know, this time of year, they need nighttime. It's going to be 11 o'clock at night or 5 o'clock in the morning. You know, so it's just, the counselors have already been instructing about classes. You can't have economics at 8, a flight lab at 9, and algebra at 10. Can't do it. You know, so learning curve's high. You know, but the exciting thing is it's an inaugural program. These 18 to 27 kids that get in this program could be the only inaugural class. And I tell them all, one of y'all's gonna be the first to get your license. There'll only be one. So, you know, I want some competition here. But, yes, sir.
What are you using in your training? Are you kind of spearheading off of established training
Yes,
courses so
yes.
far?
So,
Which one are you?
so, Lime.
Okay.
I'll tell you a quick story on that. Because, again, I've been flying, when did I start flying? I guess 35 years. I flew out of Oklahoma City, I flew charter, FAA, not the FISDO, the FAA at Will Rogers Airport, used to rent our airplanes, and I check them out. So I was like, God, I don't want to call FISDO, get this started. Just didn't want to deal with them, but they've been very helpful. They're still the FAA, don't get me wrong, but he'll go. I can't tell you what to do. I can tell you what the other ones are doing. So, and he's run a flight school before, so he's very knowledgeable. And so they actually recommend trying to get one that's already approved. So we're using Glime. So I was a corporate pilot for a long time. Jepson, hell, I mean Jepson, Jepson. And so it was the first meeting I had with him, he said, who are you using? I said, Jepson. He went, oh. That's all I need to see. I bought it all and everything. It's just still on the shelf. Because when I said, well, I get Glime, he goes, okay. That's all I need to see. Okay. And so what we will do then, though, as we evolve, because these guys that we've been interviewing and that we're going to hire to be our chief instructor. Right now, I'm the chief instructor. I will not be the chief instructor. I'm the owner. But I have all the ratings. Yeah. But these guys have been doing it. They're my age. They know what they're doing, and we want the best. But they say we'll adapt it. We'll get it approved and we'll adapt it. So that's what we're going to do. We're trying to work through. It won't happen the first year and the second year, but we're really trying to figure out how to incorporate as much multi-engine training as we possibly can, so that the kids have more rather than less. I would love them to have 100 hours of multi when it's over with. That'd be big. That'd be real big. I didn't get 100 hours of multi until I had over 1,000 hours. So, we're really eyeing that Technum. I don't know if y'all familiar with Technum. I had never heard of Technum, and the FAA mentioned it to us 2 years ago. Italian airplanes, really neat. They have a really, really neat twin. The operating cost per hour is $140. Yeah, and it's a high wing, and it's got trailing landing gear, which you maintenance guys know that could really be nice for training. So that's kind of where we're headed. And also, the avionics suite in it is more similar to what they would see in the airlines. The 430s and all that, which is what we don't have a 430. We're going to have it's a touchpad or touch screen.
750.
It's not the 750. I think maybe the 500. I can't remember. It's on there, but anyway. The platform in the Technum is not direct entry like the touch screens and stuff, nor is it in the airline. You're working with FMS. You're driving everything through push buttons down here. So we want to set them up for success whenever they get to the airline. So, and I can't help it. I got to teach them six-pack a little bit. So there's still airplanes out there that are going to have old King Airs. I mean, they may not all go to the airline, So, cool. I hope. I got big dreams. Right now we're going to be, single airplane fleet, not single airplane, single type fleet. And then it'll be, we have the Technum. I hope 5 or 6 years from now, I can have a Decathlon, maybe an Apache. I just want to expose them to stuff. I was telling Danny earlier, every kid needs to know how to drive a standard, and every pilot needs to get a little tail a little time. So, for no other reason, just, you gotta fly it all the way to the chocks. So,
What tail will airplanes we use?
I don't know yet. I mean, I like the decathlon just because you can, or the Citabria, you can do all spin training and all that with the CFIs too, kind of nice. I love the old airplanes. I love a Champ. But I don't want to teach a kid with heel brakes. I just don't. I like toe brakes, but
You got room for a steerman?
I would love to have a steerman.
No doubt.
Do you really? Oh, I want to go for a ride. I promise I'll let go when you tell me. Yes, sir.
I was just gonna ask, is when these kids graduate, are they gonna be able to fly tail rider?
Well, that's my plan.
Yeah.
I want them to. You know, yeah. Like I said, if we can get the multi going like we want it to, complex time's not going to be an issue. I am not a fan of the FAA dropping the complex for the commercial. It's not. I think everybody needs to know how to pull gear up and down. If you're going to fly professionally, you need to have to get the gear up and down. So I've had the belly one in before. You need to know what's going to happen. I mean, you just, so an arrow of all things, gear wouldn't come down. Leave that. I don't know what arrow is. You're supposed to fall down, right?
Yeah.
And two main gear lights, no nose gear light. And I tried everything. Could not get the nose gear light. This is in Oklahoma City. Flew by the tower. It looks down. So, anyway, set it up, rolled the truck, set up 7,000 feet of runway. So I got over, I landed long. I got over the runway, pulled the mixture, holding it, touchdown, rolling, holding that nose gear off, had a main gear light, and it collapsed. Anyway, off in the grass we go. And I cracked the door. It's amazing how much grass comes in whenever you hit the grass. Somebody with a leaf blower blowing grass in there. Anyway, so I think they should do that. So I want to expose them to as much as I possibly can. So, you know, whenever I started flying out there in Nacogdoches in the 80s, I was attracted to the airplanes and the flying. So I was attracted to people too. We had, you know, we had all the World War II guys that would come out there and sit around and drink coffee. I'm just a 17-year-old punk kid talking to these guys that flew the hump. Unbeknownst to me, not realizing it, not much older than I was at the time, they were doing that. You know, and I don't know if it's post 9/11 or what, but, you know, just airports have kind of died. You know, that's not going on as much, so we want to create that again out there. We're building a new hangar. It's going to have a lobby in it. I want old guys, young guys, gals, women, everybody come drink coffee, tell stories, and really create a neat experience for the kids. So, I'll close with this real quick. I've talked 14 minutes longer than I'm supposed to. If y'all would be willing, if you want to help do stuff, we've got posters. Y'all fly around on the weekends to different airports. You can pin them on their bulletin board, tack them up. I mean, you get a stack of them. So, to go back to your question of how the reception's been great. We just got to get the word out. Got to get the word out. So that's the big. We got some billboards going up. One of the things that we have heard repeatedly is some of these schools, kids aren't getting to fly. Not enough airplanes are broke, not enough instructors or whatever. We want our kids flying, you know, and they're going to fly the first semester, obviously. So there's going to be kids that want to come to us that are already college kids that aren't getting to fly. They want to come to the program. So we're trying to figure out a pathway for them too. Okay. Any more questions?
I looked up on SFA, so they do have the aviation science on their website.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's saying 2023 is
Yeah.
basically when we're rolling that out.
Yeah, so that's them being very cautious.
Okay.
They're trying to under-promise and over-deliver.
Got it. That's always best.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you.
So that is simply when and the latest they anticipated being approved by SACS and whoever else approves the courses. But they can go ahead and enroll in the program, and those courses just roll over into that. So it's just, right now, it shows up as human sciences. So, and that email address on there, that aviation@sfasu, I get that right now. So if you got any questions you want to, if you think of them later today, I'll just put my number up there too. I don't have the best penmanship. That's my cell number, so.
Straighten the last number.
Call me, that's what it's for, so.
John, write your last number better. You can't hardly see it from the back here.
The what?
The 7 at the end.
This 7?
I know it's a 7, but I'm trying to help everybody else.
Sorta.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm
Thank
sorry.
y'all. That's okay. That's all right.
Thank you.
John, you have it for
Yeah, there's
Yes,
a
I
whole
got a
stack.
whole pile of them.
bunch of them.
Yeah. And like I said, I got a stack of these in the car too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I saw something recently, I don't remember where it was from, I guess maybe AOPA, talked about a significant number of small airports that are closing across the country. I don't know what all can be done about that, but when I first started with the Hudson Aviation thing, copy that number?
Take the DJ, he's got a box of them in the car.
When I first started with the Hudson Aviation thing, one of the big, kickers was the ability right now, or the need for pilots. And so I don't know what the numbers have changed over the past 2 years, but they said in the next decade, I think over 50 to 60% of airline pilots are going to reach their maximum age.
800,000 over the next 20 years.
And they even, this is after they have raised, previously they raised the age of required retirement because they didn't have the pilots full seats.
So they raised, they went from 60 to 65 on mandatory retirement, and there's no FEs anymore, hardly.
And so now, 65's coming up, and they can't just keep raising that. So, and they're not getting people from the, the Air Force as they used to, or as many, and they're just not having the people going to those programs. So I think it's great. I'm hoping to continue to see schools get into aviation because, as you know, the world is shrinking. SpaceX, they're planning on making it to where you can get anywhere in the world in 2 hours, I think. And so, the future is the sky. So it's really interesting to me that the future is the sky and airplanes and rockets and this, but yet the interest in the school districts aren't really pushing kids into those programs. It's just not something that's been thought of in the past, but it's needed and it's the future. And so I'm glad that SFA is doing that, and that's one reason that we're doing that. Because one, it is fun, but it is the future. And like you said, the world is shrinking. But yet we have airports that are closing because whether it's funding or whatnot, they just can't keep them open. So something's going to have to shift at some point in time. That being said, again, thank you, Mr. Hughes. The next thing on our list today is a safety briefing from Mr. Mark Dunn. Talk to us today.
Sure, I'll leave John's number up there. No problem. So, quick story before we get into the safety part. You talked about the small world fraternity in aviation. I was eating lunch up here one day, see a Learjet flying. Man, it's a nice looking airplane. And a couple of guys get out, they come in and eat a hamburger. And Kent Walker looked over me and says, bet you a hamburger you can't get us on that airplane because you're buying lunch. So, talked to the guy, said, hey, any chance we can get on board your aircraft? Well, he takes us over there. Tim McDonald's with us, and he shows us around his airplane. Well, these were guys that had a steel mill down in Mexico, and they always flew to Houston for their medicals, and he would just come up here because the cost of them being on the field down there was enormous. So anyway, we take a tour of his aircraft, and he hands us each a bottle of tequila before we leave. His name was Carlos. Later that year, we go up to Oshkosh, and I'm sitting in the Bose booth, and I hear this gentleman speaking Spanish to one of the reps. And so I just make some pun about, oh, they're not giving you tequila up here, they're giving you water. And he looks over me and starts laughing. He said, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Matamoros. Matamoros said, yeah, we just had a guy in Lufkin fly Learjet
Carlos, you know Carlos? It was Carlos's friend, so it is a very, very small world. What I wanted to just talk to you about real quick here was something that goes bump in the night. Van Gogh painted a starry, starry one. Anybody? Shakespeare talked about a midsummer one. Come on, surely. Night. Talking about night. So night flying, a little bit different out there. Who's been night flying lately? Anybody current? Got one. So wanted to just talk to you a little bit about that. Why would you want to go night flying instead of the day? What are some reasons?
Air smoother.
Air smoother.
You bet.
Less traffic. Cooler, absolutely. Performance of your aircraft goes up normally. What are some reasons you wouldn't want to go fly at night?
Mountains.
Haven't grown in around here lately, but yeah, things are pulling up out of the ground, towers, anything else? What's that?
The engine might quit.
What happens if the engine quits?
It's dark down there.
There you go. Fewer places to land, right? I mean, well, you can land maybe, but dark spots out there, is it a lake, is it forest, just unlit pasture, who knows? So there's some things to look out for. But doesn't mean you can't go, right? When is night? Just quick definition.
Gotta be current.
What's that?
Gotta be current, I forgot.
No, when is night though?
Huh?
When is night?
30 minutes after.
What's that?
30 minutes after it.
Half an hour.
Well, there's the definition there. Night starts, you can look it up on ForeFlight. It'll tell you every day. I think it's at 7:54 tonight.
Oh.
So, that's sunset. When is night though, legally?
30 minutes.
Roughly 25, 30 minutes afterwards, but the official definition is when the sun is at least 6 degrees below the horizon. Anybody figure out a way to know when the sun's 6 degrees below the horizon? I don't have that magic protractor. So the FAA in all their wisdom has said to log currency, to your point, we've got to be what? 1 hour. 1 hour past sunset. How do we get current? What do you have to do?
Where you want it to be.
Full stop landing, ding, 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 right answer over here. So you can't do touch and goes. Why would we not want to do touch and goes at night? It's just common sense. What's that? Who said it?
There might be something on the runway.
Yeah, it's one more ball to juggle. I mean, especially if you're talking about the complex aircraft. Oh my gosh, we got to get flaps up, we got to get gear up, we got to adjust the prop. So a lot can go wrong in a little bitty short runway. But there's some other things about nighttime. If you take off on 16 out here, what's out that direction? Little to nothing. I mean, it's pretty black out there. So you're basically flying in IMC. You don't think so? Get up one night when it's a moonless night, it's late, nobody has their lights on, it's a tougher environment up there. And your heart can start going pitter-patter. Had a student up one night. We were going down to Conroe, and I just asked him, we're just flying along, I said, how would you know if you flew into a cloud at night? Not really sure. Well, I looked up ahead and knew we had a cloud coming up.
Yeah.
And I said, well, just give me some definition. Well, I guess the lights would start, holy cow, where'd the lights go? We had drifted off into just thin layer clouds, and what would we do? I guess we turn around and go home. How about just go down? No, because we had just barely drifted off into the leading edge of it. So there are some just common sense things to think about as we're going through that. What are some other things that the FAA tells us we have to have on board our aircraft in order to fly at night? There's an acronym for it.
Have to have a little flashlight, a little night light.
No, the FAA didn't tell you have to. That's a good common sense one. But the acronym is FLAPS. Everybody remember that? So, what about little things we pop in? If our lights go out, what do we pop in?
Fuses.
Fuses. How many of those do we have to have? 3 of each, or a complete set. Most aircraft don't have fuses anymore. What do they have? Circuit breakers. What happens if one of those goes pop at night? What are you going to do? Keep popping it back in? Hopefully not. Things start to smoke and light on fire. So what's the other one? The L. Landing lights. We have to have those? Absolutely. Only if you're for hire. Anti-collision lights. Our aircraft out here only has a beacon. Is that legal? If it's for a certain year, yes. My aircraft has collision, has strobes and a beacon. And then what's our P for? It's those little things out on the end of our wings there. One's red, one's green. What's that? Yeah, position light. And then what's our S? This is a funny one here. A source of power. What would that be?
Battery.
Could be just a battery. You don't even have to have an alternator, just a source of power. How long's your battery gonna last? 15 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that. So anyway, nighttime flying, different environment. I would encourage you to get up and do some of it because some of the biggest thrills of that, look out your window. Beautiful views at night. We were taking off one night, moon was coming up, it was blood red. My student just got big-eyed and said, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" Nothing. Beautiful harvest moon. So I would encourage you, if you're not current with it, get a CFI in there. Get a current pilot in there who has some nighttime experience. Go try some of that out. Big, big fun. Any questions on that? All right, all yours.
They learn to walk.
Yeah, I haven't done a lot of night flying, but I know I loved every second of it when I did it. He's absolutely right. You get up there and I did it off 1.6 and we rotated up. Everything went black. It was different. I will never. You just don't forget that once you do it the first time. So thank you very much, Mr. Dunn. Let's see if I have the right one. All right, this is old business, Oshkosh 2021. Mr. Lane Thompson, you here? No, not here today. I received an email, so I'm assuming the email list that he's been asking for the past 3 months, he must have received it. So if you didn't get an email from him and you're interested in going to the Oshkosh trip this year, just let me know and we'll make sure that your email is current on that list.
They do have early bird registration open now.
And I've never been to Oshkosh. I do hope to go one year. I won't be able to go this year, but I highly encourage if any of you are able to take off. I hear it's an absolute blast. So, but Mr. Lane Thompson's in charge of that, and if you need to, I can get your email to him. New business. It says new year, annual memberships due, so please make sure we are into April. And so if you will, please, if you haven't paid your annual membership, which is $25 per person, just come up here and we can. Mr. Kent Walker, we've learned already this morning, is not here, and he has the receipt book, but we'll accept your money, write your name down, and make sure we get your receipt. Also, there's a fajita fly-in scheduled for June the 5th still here at the Angelina County Airport, put on by this here EAA. We talked a little bit about maybe having some donations for meat last time, and I encourage you guys to come out, be a part of that. If you want to volunteer or help out with that, just let us know, and we'll get your name down and your information and make sure that you help us out with that. Is there anything else that we're missing today?
Jonathan, there's I don't know if anybody got the information or not, but there's a kite fest at Nacogdoches tomorrow. A kite fest put on by the city, and our airport manager was inviting anybody who wanted to fly in. So if anybody wants to come see the kite fest tomorrow at KOCH.
What's a kite fest?
They fly kites. Puts that on, and little kids come out and fly kites.
They go fly kites?
And look at airplanes.
Yeah.
And what?
So the little kids come out and fly kites and look at airplanes.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I've never heard of that before.
There's several booths out there.
And that's over in Nacogdoches.
You might want to show up with some brochures.
We're gonna have a booth.
You going to?
And Joe actually gave me a flyer to bring and send in the car seat right now.
And that's at the airport? So.
And I remember in prior years, they had over 500 participants.
500 participants?
500.
Starts at 11.
Bring your kite.
Bring your kite.
That's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. Ought to be nice.
Leave airplanes fly like kites, so we do that more.
Yeah, we have had some good wind here. True. All right, well, I guess if that's it. Oh, yes, sir.
Critters Lodge,
Critters Lodge.
2 weeks. Not this next weekend, but the following weekend. We've got our rodeo over here in Lufkin. It's going to be all this next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Critters Lodge is the next weekend.
What's going on at
Friday night, Critters Lodge is a real popular fly-in over on the other side of Crockett. And great 3,100 foot grass strip.
I forget, who owns that strip?
That's Wendell Dillard.
Wendell Dillard, I think somebody mentioned him.
Oh, yeah.
Like a mini
He's
Rick
the
Roll.
one, he's
Yeah.
out there to shoot rockets.
Yeah, okay, so y'all went and shot rockets out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great.
Where's that located?
Other side of Crockett.
Other side of Crockett. Good deal.
So the chart.
In 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Okay. Good deal.
Starts the night of the 30th, and then 1st and 2nd.
30th, 1st, and the 2nd, Critters Lodge. All right, good deal, thank you, sir. All right, and I guess if that's it, we're gonna adjourn the meeting for the day. I thank all of you for coming out. Always love being here at the airport. If y'all need anything, just let us know. Thank you.
Good.